I was going to die, so everything was centered around this skinny little baby. Screamed day and night. I got paid back when I had my first child named Marcia. I screamed day and night and wouldn't eat. I'd eat dry bread and water and bananas, and trying to find bananas on the farm in 1928 was pretty difficult.
No kidding.
Yeah, but I grew big and healthy, and had a lot of cats and dogs, rode horses. One harvest, I remembered, it was during the war, and it was hard to get men to work on the farm. So I was delegated to drive a horse and wagon to the combine out in the field to empty the grain into the wagon. But I couldn't drive the horse and wagon up to the combine, so they had to drive up to my wagon and dump the grain in. Do you understand?
It was because you didn't have enough control?
Yeah, it was too hard to get the wagon lined up with the combine, so they drove up. Then I'd drive it home to the farm, where the grain was stored in granaries, wheat sheds. So I'd go home, drive the horses home, and somebody else would unload the wagon, and then I'd drive it out. Well, I went and had coffee. And then drive out to the field and get another load. So that is my big harvest job. That's probably the hardest I worked. I think so.
You were saying by the time you were born, your parents were tired of trying to get...
Well, I think so. And I think probably because I was sick as a baby and premature and everything, they were always worried that I was going to die. So that's why I never had to do anything except be catered to.
Right.
Not fair to any child, but I handled it well. Okay, now where are we?
Well, let's go to just back to your parents for a second.
Yeah.
Did they have any sayings that they like to say that they always told you kids?
Oh, in Norwegian.
Oh, sure, in Norwegian. That couldn't happen.
To me, it was "Oh dear, so finkuval," which means oh dear, how good she is." And to Emil, the youngest one, he was also spoiled, but not as bad as myself. It was "Holdemvolle lei imot onda, ja dem fall imot det, sier han," which means, "Oh, have they been mean to him then? Yes, they're going to have to answer for that," he says. Baby talk. And I gave Emil a rough time. I was bigger than he was until about the age probably of 10. And I remember the first time he said no to me when I told him to do something.
And what did you do, punch him?
No, he was bigger than I was, so I was smart enough not to do any more punching. But he and I were the two youngest, and that was 7 years after the last one, so we were... And the kids ended up, Norma became a teacher, Henry became a teacher, Audrey became a teacher, Emil was a prison, the youngest one, prison guard at Ocala, and the other two, Carl and Henry was the teacher. Who else is there? Clifford, for a period of time was on the city police force in Regina, and he also worked on the railroad after that.
Oh.
And Carl was on the railroad, a conductor on the railroad. So that takes care of all those kids. What else do you want to know about them?
Well, that was it. There's what did they become, and how did they die?
Carl, the oldest, a heart attack. And he drove himself to the hospital in Regina. They live in Regina. And Henry, I know he had to have an oxygen machine beside him. I think a lung disease.
Did he smoke?
And Norma died from a heart attack, but she was 82 years old.
Heart attack? Are you sure?
I'm not positive.
I thought it was something else, actually.
I don't know.
Okay.
We'll ask Lynn today at lunch.
Yeah. And then...
And who else died? Emil. Cancer in all his bones. Bone cancer. In his whole skeletal frame. All the boys were big, over 6 feet. I think Emil was 6'4". The tallest one. I was the shrimp in the family.
Yeah.
We were 5'4" and a quarter.
And then, okay, so then you took that year of correspondence in school.
And then I was smart enough. I quit school for a year.
Right.
I just bummed around. We moved into town after the farm sold. Moved into Viscount. And it just had a fun time for a year. And then my dad bought a house in Saskatoon, so we moved to Saskatoon. And after being a year off school, I decided I wasn't smart enough after all, so I went to City Park Collegiate, from a one-room school to a big city collegiate. Kind of a shock to my system. But did fine. And then I wanted to live at the beach at the water, Lake Manitou, which was about 75 miles from Saskatoon. So we moved there, and my dad bought a cabin. We moved there for the summer, and then couldn't get the renters out of the house in Saskatoon. So my dad bought a house in Waters, which is 3 miles from the lake. And that was great, because I went to high school in Waters, and the lake was 3 miles away, and we had the cabin. Still had the cabin at the lake.
You used to go in the lake, right? So you used to swim.
You didn't have to swim in that lake.
Right.
It has the highest mineral content of any lake in North America. You could just lie on top of the water and come out and you'd be coated with this mineral salt.
Oh, yeah.
So there were showers along the beach. I used to canoe. But the reason I got scared of water, on the farm, for the aminos, we had dugouts filled with water. And some bad kid pushed me in.
Oh.
And I almost drowned.
I don't think I knew about that.
Probably not. Probably a lot of things.
It wasn't one of your
about.
siblings. It was a kid.
Yeah, some kid in the neighborhood. So I never did want to swim.
I see.
I took a phys ed course at university, and I took swimming because they said I didn't have to go in the water, just audit the course. And then for the test, the guy told me to jump in one side, swim across, and get out the other side. I said, "Are you crazy?"
So
I don't think so.
I guess you didn't do it. Finish the test.
I passed everything. And I didn't go to university till I was old.
But okay, jump back to City Collegiate.
You
went there, and then they
for 1 year. and then ended up going to high school in Waters, beside the lake.
High school?
Yeah, 11 and 12. 11 and 12. In Waters.
After City Collegiate?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I was just for grade 10 in the city.
Okay.
Collegiate. There were 12 of us in the Waters grade 12 high school class. I was the smartest.
Surprise.
Yeah, and I was busy. I always had boyfriends all along the line, you know, like from elementary school. Not much to choose from, but on the farm, there's always somebody. And then, oh, it's such a long, boring story.
Huh. We can leave out the boring part.
Oh, God. Well, I graduated from high school and then worked for the city newspaper for a while, and then moved to Regina to live with my sister and her husband. And while I was there, I was a cashier at Sears, and I worked in the dry cleaning office. And my parents contacted me, and I never had any money, so my dad said, well, he'd pay for a business course. So sure, I started the business course. Halfway through that, in Regina, they phoned and said they planned on moving to the coast, to Vancouver. And would I come along? And I said, sure. So I quit the business course and moved to Vancouver. By that time, I'm, what, 18 years old or something. Lived out here for not even a full year. Finished the business course, and then, well, we think we'll move back to Saskatoon. I moved back to Saskatoon. And then I got a job in an office because I had taken this business course. And there, in the men's department, just below my office, which it was a mezzanine office with a railing around it, met my ex-husband, named Herschel Simovich. He insisted that I see a coat he was buying, and I said, yeah, that looks really nice. And I ended up seeing the same coat for the next 5 winters. I got married to Hal and moved immediately to North Battleford. That's how we ended up in North Battleford.
And you got married without telling his parents?
Oh yeah, we didn't tell them because I was a shiksa and he wasn't.
And you were knocked up too.
I hate that expression. I happened to get pregnant.
You were with child.
That's better. I hate the knocked up. So we got married July the 2nd. And
year?
1951. And Marcia was born in January 1952. See?
Yeah.
How it all connects? Shortly after Marcia was born, we moved to Saskatoon. Did a lot of moving around, huh?
Yeah.
And 3 years later, got pregnant with Valerie. She was born in 54, but we had already moved to Edmonton. And then I was in Edmonton for the rest of my life, wasn't I?
I think so. What were you doing when you were having Marcia and Val? Were you working or doing anything?
No. Walking the floor with Marcia. My next job, I had those 2 kids, and we were living in Edmonton, and I worked in the office at a jewelry store.
Oh.
What was the name of it? I think Shores Jewelry was the name of it.
I didn't know that.
Didn't you?
I don't think so.
And by that time, Marcia and Valerie were both in school, and my father was living with us. He lived with Hal and I after my mother died, which was in '59, I think, at the age of 62. And she died from multiple myeloma. It's called, and that's cancer in the marrow of the bone. So my father lived with Hal and I for 12 years until he died.
Wow, 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
When did he die?
I think 69, at the age of 92. And just from old age, I guess. He fell out of the bed in the auxiliary hospital and broke his hip and didn't recoup after that. Okay, and in the meantime, while my father was living with us, Marcia and Valerie were both in school, and I had never been to university, right? So they were giving free tuition. So I thought, maybe I'll go to university.
Free tuition?
Mm-hmm. There was a shortage of teachers. Free tuition in education. So I went 1 year. I quit at least 10 times on a Friday. Quit on a Friday and decided to go back on the Monday. So if you made the first year, they also paid for the second year. So you could then teach with 2 years of university. So I started teaching. The first school was at the same school that Hal was at. And they never hired husband and wife on the same team, but I can usually talk myself into things. So they did hire me at this. I said, we just have one car, you know. Yep. So then,
what school?
Queen Elizabeth.
And he taught what?
He was a counselor, but he taught science before that too, or at the same time.
Oh.
I'm not giving you time to ask any questions along the way here. Because
you're doing great.
Okay, hold on. And when have I come to the point where you and Haley have come along?
Not quite yet.
Oh, well, you've already come along. Well, my father was, before my father moved in. No, maybe at the same time.
Yeah, because he lived with you for 12 years, and he died in '69. That's a year after I was born. So...
And Haley was...
He was...
already born then.
Yeah, Haley was already...
Mm-hmm.
He was
yeah, and that's
80.
why I went to university, because he was there to babysit while I was at class.
Right.
You see? So I had, then in what year did I have Haley?
64.
1964. And when Haley was 3 months old, I decided to take up skiing with the family. And broke my hip, and ended up on crutches for 3.5 years, 7 surgeries on my hip, because I wouldn't heal, couldn't heal. In the meantime, while I was on crutches, what year did I get pregnant with Immaculate Conception with you?
It must have been 67.
Was it 67? Okay.
It was the spring of 67.
Mm-hmm. So I went through that pregnancy on crutches and had this beautiful...
Was I born on schedule?
Yes.
To the day?
Well, I don't know, but one of you, it was Valerie, that I wanted to be born on schedule, on the date, because Auntie Sarah was getting married.
Oh.
And I wanted to be at the wedding. And so I took castor oil. somebody told me would help. And she was born on the right day.
Oh.
But getting back to you, okay, I had this beautiful little black-eyed
Angel.
black-eyed pea, sweet pea. So then I had the two little ones, Haley and Lisa. Okay, and then when Lisa was about 4,
Lisa or Haley?
I don't know, when I got divorced.
Lisa.
Okay, got divorced in 1972, right?
Okay.
I think so. And that was a hellish time. Oh, excuse me, I didn't mean to cough in the mic. And then I couldn't make a living without a degree. So while I was teaching, while I was taking care of these two little sweethearts, I was teaching full-time and got two more years of university at the same time.
Oh, so you were teaching without a degree?
Without a degree, with just 2 years of university.
Oh.
But to get a decent enough salary, I had to complete the degree.
Oh.
So that was a hellish 2 years. Going to summer school, spring sessions, night school, and teaching, and 2 little kids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was about 72 to 74? Ish?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And then I taught for 15 years or something.
At least.
And then retired. The kids grew up, became famous, and that's not the end of the story, but that's the progression.
I guess so. Yeah. You moved to Vancouver for a couple of years.
After the divorce.
Well, way after. I'm talking
Way
about
after.
in 96.
Oh, yes. Oh, and okay, I got evicted from my apartment. I'd already retired. Got evicted from my apartment because I got a little cute little dog that grew up to be a great big dog. So I was going to be evicted from my apartment there. And Marcia, who lived in Vancouver at the time, well, that's fate, Mom. You know, you have to move to Vancouver because the apartment and the house in which she was living, renting, would accept my animals. My 2 lovely cats and this great big huge dog, Keisha. And as soon as the people saw the size of the dog, I was evicted before I moved in. And then it was impossible, next to impossible, to rent an apartment with my animals. So Haley's ex-husband, Doug's brother, lived in Nanaimo, and he and his girlfriend adopted Keisha. And I was in deep mourning for at least 2 years more. Deep mourning.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
That's another thing why I wasn't that happy about having moved out here, you know.
Oh.
Giving up the dog.
Oh.
And
you missed the part in Edmonton where you broke your back.
Oh, well, I was teaching.
That was in
yes.
Shannon Mills, I think.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, and
In
I
Shannon
was
Mills.
out of town. I was on the road or something. And you decided...
Were you still living at home? Because I don't remember you being there. I was home alone.
I think I was out of town. I was away.
I can't remember where you were. So I was having company for bridge one night. Needed something out of my freezer. And the rug cleaning company had left a great big heavy TV on top of the freezer. And I had to get something out.
Bastards.
Yeah. And tried to lift the TV down, and just like being hit with a sledgehammer across the middle of the back. And I couldn't move. All I had was the cats there.
Yeah.
It couldn't move, so I had to wait till the bridge company came and called the ambulance.
So they came in, or was the door open, or?
Yeah, it was not. But I was calling because I could hear neighbors' voices. I started calling, nobody heard me. So I just had to lie there.
Brutal.
Brutal is right. The ambulance took me to the hospital, and they x-rayed my back, and they said, "Oh, you're fine, you can go home." Honest to God, I couldn't move.
Oh.
They thought they had seen an old fracture in there. I heard a nurse say, "The doctor told her she could go home, you know, but she won't."
Yeah. Wasn't it at the hospital?
I could write a book about the doctors and hospitals. So I broke that. I've broken quite a few things.
Yeah.
Rotten bones. 9.
9 what?
Bones.
Hip, back, collarbone. Oh, then we had our accident. You fractured your collarbone.
My
pelvis.
Pelvis. My tailbone.
How'd you do your tailbone?
I fell on the floor and cracked the tailbone. And my ribs on both sides. You remember the guy I was teaching with hugged me so hard he broke a rib on one side?
Yeah.
The first day of summer holidays, and then broke ribs on the other side. And then after that, nothing. I've just been enjoying life and visiting my daughters and grandchildren and my great-grandson.
Yeah.
And you all know that story. You know, you don't need that in my notes.
Well, I guess
Yeah.
you...
Can I have a cigarette now?
Yeah, sure.
I earned it.
You did earn it, and yeah, I've been hacking more than you, too.